Hello, Brick Sculptors, and welcome to Brick Sculpt. This is Chris, and today we're going to do a video on something I've wanted to video pretty much since I started this channel, and that is play features. In front of you here, you'll see 5 things that I've built for my Lego city that are very highly detailed, and they all share one thing in common. None of these builds have any moving pieces. This table saw surely could have a spinning wheel, a spinning blade if you decide to design it that way, maybe a fence that moves. There's lots of things you could do in this to make it more playable, but you're going to sacrifice detail when you do that. This grill could easily have a flip up top, but it would make it bulkier and not look as good. This treadmill, you could probably find a way to make a moving belt, but it's not going to be this compact and this small and realistic looking. Same thing with this lawnmower. I could have worked real wheels on here some way, but to keep the scale right and keep the look good, using a 1x1 round tile worked a lot better. And this toilet, no moving parts, no seat that moves, but compact, detailed, and good looking. Now I want to say there is no right or wrong way to Lego. These are your things, use them how you want. But as you probably know, Lego over the years has made a bit of a shift from being a children's toy to being a children's toy that adults enjoy. So the age demographics have changed drastically, and Lego is quite obviously marketing toward an older crowd with a lot of their newer products, and Lego City is no exception. A lot of Lego City stuff is geared towards kids and has a lot of play features in it. But if you're trying to build more realistic builds and become a better brick sculptor, you might be looking to eliminate some of those play features in exchange for more detail. Let's go ahead and show you some examples. So this is a set that I got when I was a kid and I thoroughly enjoyed. Very simple, probably came in a poly bag. It has one minifig on a bike with some mail and a mailbox. And of course, the idea is simple. You take the mail, you can put it in the mailbox, and then you can also open the mailbox and retrieve the mail. Now, I don't know if Lego was going for like a freestanding mail drop box where you would put mail in to send out, or if this is something that you would put in front of your house. As a kid, I know that I bought a few of these sets because they're inexpensive and had multiple mailboxes in front of multiple houses. But let's be honest here. This doesn't really look like a mailbox. It's quite large, has a big bulky base, and compared to the minifig is absolutely huge. More realistically, you could build a mailbox like this. A couple of brackets, a couple of tiles, or one tile, and a couple of creatively placed bricks. The scale is much different, the shape is much different, and it has absolutely no play features. Oh, and if you don't like this bracket on the bottom, I did an alternate design too. Although I like the bracket one better, and you could find a way to hide that too. Anyway, but you can see the difference here. Play feature, no play feature. So we're gaining a lot of detail, and we're losing the ability to open the mailbox. Now this doesn't just apply to mailboxes. For example, these boxes will work great as an oven. Change the colors, we got a black box and a transparent front. But this is about the most boring oven you could put in a Lego kitchen. Using simple pieces and removing the ability for it to open, you can make a much more detailed oven quite easily. Maybe you want to make it a wash machine that opens, or a dryer, or both next to each other. You could do that, but the scale is pretty rough. Studs on top don't look great. With very simple pieces, you could make a better size, better shaped washer or dryer pretty easily. Another thing I got as a kid was a bank set, and the bank set came with this as an ATM. And of course, just like the mail, you're supposed to take your bills and stick them in the ATM, and then you'll have the ability to retrieve them later by opening it. Fantastic play feature and super cool. And I will say it looks pretty decent like an ATM, but it's all built around the ability to put bills in it. And with simple pieces, you could make an ATM that has a lot more detail and customize it to be wall fitting or freestanding. Now I should mention, these do work well if you wall fit them. So we can take a setup like this and put this box in the wall. Now you have to be careful what's on the other side of the wall, because it's going to stick through in some capacity. But it can be a cool way to get the money inside the bank too, although you'd probably want the open side to the back then. But you can dress these up, which I think looks a lot better. I still prefer the brick-built one though. Now another good example, if we take a minifig here, this is a classic Lego backpack. And they've made these for a very long time. And that's just going to sit on this fig's back here. But in the, I believe it came out with the Lego Adventurers sets, with Johnny Thunder, the Egypt theme stuff. They decided they needed a new backpack, and this is what they came up with. Now, why is it so big and bulky? Because it opens and you can put something inside of it, which is pretty cool. But when you look at it on the fig, it looks terrible. It's way too big. It's not realistic at all. It looks like when you get the new kindergartners in a school and the backpacks go past their butts and they can barely walk with them on. So I guess if that's what you're going for, it's pretty realistic. But overall, I don't like these backpacks. They're just way too big. Now, sometimes to get the appropriate amount of detail, you have to build things at a scale that really doesn't work with other Lego pieces. For example, these are a couple of trash cans I made, and I really love this design where you take one of these bins, you float a tile over the top by using a bar piece down inside, and you let these little studs kind of turn into the parts that hold the upper, even though they don't really touch. And I think these look fantastic. The downside is Lego pieces would not actually fit in there. So it has the detail look, but it is not functional at all. But sometimes that's what you want if you're trying to make it look super realistically detailed. Sometimes when it comes to play features, it's not at all about detail, but it's about space. You see, one of the coolest Lego play features are these drawers that fit into these cabinets. Super detailed, incredibly realistic looking, and you can take these and you can build them into all kinds of furniture, whether you're making an office with desks, you can use these in a kitchen, but let's say you're putting these like in a bedroom. You can make a really nice long dresser out of that. You can stack them the other way and make a tall dresser. And as for detail, I don't think you're going to be able to beat that very easily with just regular simple pieces. But sometimes it's not about detail, it's about space. You know, trying to fit this in a Lego bedroom in a normal Lego City house could be quite tricky. As you know, Lego scale is weird. You have to keep the houses small, otherwise they're going to take up half the city. And when you keep them small, all the bedrooms get little, all the rooms get little, and you have to really be careful how to pack everything in there. So even though these look great, they might not fit. So I often build dressers like this with jumper plates and headlight bricks. And they look pretty good. Doesn't look as good as this, but it takes about a third of the space of this dresser. Same thing with the tall one. You can stack them upward like this. Very similar, not as detailed, but this can fit in a very small space. It's only got a footprint of 2 studs. So something to think about when you're building. Other play features that could be quite bulky are things like these hoses. They're awesome because you can pull them out and you can retract them. But if you're not going to be doing that, if you're just setting up a display, this is kind of an ugly looking portion, and I'm sure you could make something that looks better than that. You might opt for just a simple hose that goes into a brick, or maybe you take a different hose like this and just attach whatever you want to it. But you could be saving space, and space allows you to use smaller pieces and include more detail. Now, one of my biggest pet peeves in Lego is this here. They call this a book, and I believe these came out with the Harry Potter stuff. Maybe it came out before, I don't know. But they look super nice and detailed. But in what universe does a book that sits at your feet go up to your chest? Unless this is the world's largest world atlas with just amazing detailed pictures, no book is going to be that big. And why did they do it? Well, so you can open it up and put something inside. They had plenty of room to spare. They still could have made it smaller. Now, one problem with this, though, is the ratio of books. The ratio that a book takes is not very commonly found in Lego. I would say a book is about a 2 to 3 ratio, meaning it's 2 units wide, 3 units tall. So it's definitely not square, but it's not twice as tall as it is wide. And unfortunately, most Lego pieces, if you wanted to substitute this for like a brown tile, the proportions are wrong. This is 1 to 2, not 2 to 3. So that's kind of tricky to do. It doesn't mean, though, that these are still super detailed, because they're absolutely huge. And as I showed in my bookcase video, there are ways to make things look like books that aren't books. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it here as well as at the end. Very good video on detailed bookcases, which are a lot of fun to build, and all the stuff that goes into getting them just right. So go ahead and check that out. Another example of getting rid of detail in order to help make space or more detail is a garage door. So I got 2 sets of garage door rails here, and I apologize they're so tall. It's because I used 5 long bricks. I didn't have any singles handy. I don't know where I put them. So they're super tall, but that's okay. Some garage doors are super tall. And let's say you wanted to build this red one into an actual working garage door. Well, these are super cool. They made these a long time ago, and I don't know if they use them too much anymore. I think they're still out there, but they're a lot less common. You can actually slide a garage door down in there. I mean, you're not going to find Lego stuff much more detailed than that. You know, that's pretty cool. But then on the back side, you have to put a couple supports. I guess you could hang the upper rails from the ceiling if you really wanted to. And then you need to put these here to guide the door when it goes up. One of those on each side. You're going to want something across the top to support it. And in the end, you have a super detailed garage door that works really nicely. Now the problem is building a building around this. You're going to be very limited inside. You know, maybe your build doesn't allow for all this stuff, so you can't use the garage door, or at least you can't make it work. A way you can get around the bulk of this build is by building it a little more like this. We can put our door in, and if we take headlight bricks, we can attach the door at the top. Just like that. And what this will allow us to do, we can make it look like the door is halfway up, and it will stay in place there. But you're not going to have that big bulky thing. And yes, this is more detail with this, although these aren't the most detailed rails. You could probably make some faux rails that look better than that. But this will fit into a building better. And as you probably know, the interiors of buildings, space-wise, is always a challenge with Lego. So once again, I want to say there is no right or wrong way to do this. Build however you want. If you want to play with this stuff, go for it. If you want to make it look as realistic as possible, go for it. Everybody Legos differently. But this is just a video to give you some insight that you might consider changing some things to make it how you like it. You might want to add more detail by taking out some play features, or maybe you don't care and you want the play features, so you leave them in. But it is a good conversation to have with yourself when you're building, just so you kind of know where you stand. Hope you guys liked this video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to do more just like this in the future. That's all I have for this time, and we will see you next time.